Morning, everybody. The October 30, 2019 Veterans Land Board meeting will come to order. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from our last meeting on July 30, 2019. Assuming the board has no questions and has reviewed the minutes, could entertain a motion to confirm the minutes for the record.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to approve the minutes. Been informed that items number 2 and 3 have been pulled from the agenda, so we will fast forward to item number 4.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, for the record, Rusty Martin, Chief Investment Officer. Item number 4, as you know, is an item we place on the agenda for every meeting so we can discuss primarily loan demand in the housing program. So I've prepared a summary for you that shows you where we are. Just briefly, comparing fiscal year 19 to 18, now that we have final numbers, we did about $575 million in new loans in fiscal year 18, and in 19 we did about $800 million in new loans. As you can see, that's well above our what I call our normal demand range of $500 to $600 million per year. The number of loans made in fiscal year 18 was about 2,100, and in 2019 we made almost 2,900 new loans, again well above the normal level, which is around 2,100 a year. And then during fiscal year 18, the loan demand averaged about $48 million a month, and in 19 it averaged 67 a month, again well above normal. Average loan size now is about $281,000. So obviously during fiscal year 18 we effectively returned to a normal range. Again, that's $500 to $600 million a year, and 19 was significantly above that normal range, both in terms of the dollar amount and the number of loans. And as you know, we reset our rates weekly, and that process revolves around setting a base rate that is 15 to 65 basis points below our benchmark. And then we allow eligible disabled borrowers a 50 basis point reduction to that base rate. We have now been setting that base rate at 15 basis points below the benchmark for the last 6 months, and it has begun producing the desired decrease in overall loan demand. So, for example, from July to September of 2019, loan demand averaged about $54 million a month. So that's down from $67 million a month for the whole year, fiscal year 19. So it's back in the middle of the range. Therefore, I'm not recommending any changes at this time. However, we're going to watch this very closely. The Fed, is meeting again today. There's talk that they may lower rates again. First GDP reading was announced, 1.9%. So there definitely may be some downward pressure on rates, which would flow through to the mortgage market in some form or fashion, which, typically lower rates increases demand. So we'll be watching it closely. If I don't see this sort of a stabilization continue in what I call a normal range, then at the January meeting, I probably would ask you to reduce that range down to 0 to 65 basis points. But I also want to raise a couple of other considerations for you to chew on. There are other ways to manipulate the rate in the program. For example, the discount that we allow to disabled veterans is 50 basis points. That is a big number. It hasn't always been 50 basis points. It at various times has been either 25 basis points or 35 basis points, but it's been 50 basis points for a long time. You could consider lowering that discount too. If you look at current markets, when we set the rate Friday at 3.69, our base rate, the borrowing rate for a disabled veteran is 3.19%. So, that is significantly below market. And a big part of our loan demand is a disabled veteran population. It accounts for about 85% of the total demand. So it would have a pretty significant impact if you were to lower that discount some. I don't think, it's not really possible for me to give you any sort of well-thought-out possible effect of doing that. We just have to look at it on an empirical basis to see what happens. But it's been there before. It will lower demand. I've noticed over the years that small changes, 5 basis points in a discount doesn't make much difference. 10 basis points can make a difference. So it would lower it, but I don't know that it would lower it significantly. The other thing is, you could consider is, from the beginning, this program has been based on veterans with a compensable disability rating of 30% or higher. You could always consider raising that requirement too. I know when the program started, there was a lot of discussion about making that be a 50% requirement.
Do you recall when those discussions were?
That was back in the Dewhurst administration, so that would have been in between 2000 and 2004. Yeah. It's been quite a long time. At any rate, again, I'm not asking you to make a decision now, but I am suggesting that we're going to keep a close eye on this and bring it back up in January. And I'm just pointing out there are other things that can be changed, not just the spread below the benchmark. And
Maybe, I mean, to the extent, Rusty, thank you for the update on that. If there is downward pressure and it flows through to the mortgage market in terms of lowering rates, that on a net basis, that the disabled veterans that we serve would still have a fairly low figure, even if we carve back the disability rating. But we can discuss that at a future date.
absolutely.
But 85% is a much larger figure than I would have thought. That's and that
Well,
applies to our housing.
Yes,
loans.
I'm talking about the housing
Yeah.
loans. It makes sense when you think about the fact that the base rate that we set is fairly reflective of market. It's probably somewhat lower than market, 10 basis points to maybe an eighth, but it's not significantly lower. So that disabled rate is well below market, so there's a lot of demand there.
Yeah, and I'm definitely open to either one of those levers or a combination of the two. I think there's by reducing the discount for the disabled veterans, you actually can lower your benchmark difference more, and so all veterans are going to get a lower rate there.
That's correct.
There's also, the question with 30% versus 50%. I think that's an opportunity as well, potentially to, obviously, if we're trying to provide that discount for, veterans in unique situations, then a higher disability rating would probably better identify those military members. And so that could be an option for us as well, but I would be open to a combination of either one of those.
Rusty, I have a quick question. Of the 85% spread of disabled veterans, do we have any idea how they fall on the distribution of 30% to 100%, or is that just kind of a large?
We don't. They're at certification, the disability level is verified, and it's in the individual loan files, but it has not historically been captured in the database. But that is something that we can have the loan originator start doing.
It would help to be able to be predictive.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if we could do a sample maybe of just.
We
say 100
can.
and
I
see
think
what it looks like,
we can take a sample of files over some defined period and determine what the average is. And in this instance, I don't think that there would be any reason why that wouldn't be representative for just about every period of time.
Right.
It doesn't seem to me that particular metric would be something that would vary quite a bit. So I think we can come up with a sample and see what that looks like.
Thank you.
Of course.
Any other questions on this item? Non-voting item, so jump to number 5.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, this also is a non-voting item. This is quarterly investment report for the period ended June 30th. I'll just give you a brief summary of economic conditions, and then we'll go over the portfolio performance metrics. Second quarter GDP increased at an annual rate of 2%. That was after increasing 3.1% in the first quarter. U.S. unemployment rate ended the quarter at 3.7%. That was down from 3.8% at the end of the first quarter. And the Fed left its Fed funds rate range unchanged at 2.25% to 2.5%. That was at its June meeting. They also reaffirmed the continuation of the balance sheet normalization program that they began back in October of 2017. And they agreed that the timing and size of future adjustments in their Fed funds target would depend upon their assessment of, and I'm quoting here, realized and expected economic conditions relative to its maximum employment objective and symmetric 2% inflation objective. From VLB investment strategy perspective, we focus primarily on providing liquidity and cash flow that's necessary to meet continued loan purchase and debt service requirements, and we focus only secondarily on maximizing total return. And we focus primarily on preserving principal with high-quality investment fixed income instruments. As you know, the portfolio is composed primarily of high-quality commercial paper and short to medium-term treasury, agency, corporate and taxable municipal bonds. If you look at the chart on page 2, you'll notice that we now have, on an invested basis, 10% of the portfolio in corporate bonds. That's a reflection of the change that the board made to its investment policy statement earlier this year. And there is a 20% limit, so we'll be somewhere between that 20 and 10% limit as time goes on. The duration during the period decreased from about 5 years to 3.7 years, and our target for the year is 3.5 to 4 years, so we're pretty much on target with duration. As far as the performance is concerned, it was a very good quarter. It's a 1.61% total return versus 1.2 on the benchmark. Total return to date is about 3.2 versus 2.1 on the benchmark, and then certainly the one-year total return is very good numbers. 4.78% is our total one-year return versus 3.46 on the benchmark. So again, fixed income portfolio, low risk, primarily focused on preserving principal and meeting cash flow needs related to loan purchases and paying debt service, and only secondarily to performance. So with those sort of restrictions, having that kind of performance is really, really very good. Kind of proud of our team for achieving that. This is a non-voting item, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board?
It's impressive.
Thank you.
I notice you beat every one of the benchmark categories. That's pretty awesome.
We're pretty proud of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Rusty.
Let's keep it going. Thank you, Rusty. Next item is number 6.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is Charlotte Mumford. There are no appeals before the board today.
Considering there are no appeals, this is a non-voting item. Next item on the agenda is number 7.
There were 12 tracts offered during the forfeited land sale online bidding period of September the 3rd, 2019 through October 22nd, 2019. We received a total of 93 bids, resulting in 9 high bids. Staff is requesting the board award all high bids that meet qualifications for the land program. I will be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions from the board?
I'm just looking at the forfeited land sales. Is that what you're referencing right now?
The tract number?
I'm just looking at the forfeited land sale list, and I was just wondering because there was an awful lot from Trinity County,
Uh-huh.
and if there was anything specific to that was driving that.
I think it may have just been the location of that particular track. There's nothing that stands out about it. There's no home or anything on the property.
Understand. Thank you.
A lot of them are $1 over the minimum bid.
Yeah, exactly. It's just an area I think that they were very interested in.
Yeah.
Any questions at this time?
No questions. I move we approve.
Second.
Motion is made, seconded, and carries unanimously to approve item number 8. Next item is number 9.
Staff is requesting the board take action on the resolution before you. The resolution lists accounts to be considered for order for sale action today. These 4 accounts will become tracts for the next forfeited land sale. We're requesting the board's authority to pull any tract that fully reinstates prior to the sale date.
So, Charlotte, just so I understand, when you do this, and those go into the next one for the sale, and then they get the bids, just like we had in the last item?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions?
No questions. I'll move we approve.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded, carries unanimously to approve item number 8. Next item is number 9.
That was number 9.
Sorry, that was number 9. Next item is number 10.
Staff is requesting the board set the next quarterly electronic forfeited land sale bidding period to begin December the 2nd, 2019 at 8 a.m. with a bidding deadline of January 21st, 2020 at 5 p.m.
I'll move.
Second.
Motion is made, seconded, carries unanimously to approve item number 10. Thank you, Charlotte. Next item is number 11.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, members. For the record, my name is John Berkeley, Deputy Director for the Texas State Veterans Homes. This item is for board discussion and possible action. The purpose is to engage the community to help celebrate our resident veterans who are celebrating their 100th birthday with 100 birthday cards. 1 month prior to the veteran's 100th birthday, the Texas State Veteran Home on-site representative will submit the name of the resident or residents to the GLO communications team. Communications staff will issue a press release with 100 birthday card challenge. The press release will consist of an invitation from the commissioner to join him in celebrating the named veterans for a 100 birthday card challenge. Because of PHI and HIPAA considerations, only those residents who would like to participate and sign a waiver would be eligible to participate in the program. This item is for board discussion and possible action. We have a 100-year-old coming up in December who served in the Army Air Corps, female, and she'll be celebrating her 100th birthday. And in January, this is both in McAllen, we have a Marine veteran who will be celebrating his 102nd birthday. And he actually donated a carving of the Iwo Jima flag raising that's on display in our community. So, pretty exciting people.
I just had one question. When you mentioned the word challenge in this, what is it?
Asking the people to meet that 100 birthday card goal.
Okay.
So reaching out to the public and asking them to send in, we'd give of course, the address and go directly to the veteran, and we'll, on his or her birthday date, make sure they receive all those cards.
It's wonderful.
Okay.
Taking a step back, if I could, John, in terms of the unaccompanied veteran burial program, was largely an inspiration for this idea. And there was actually recently a Texas veteran that went viral in terms of national news recognition. It wasn't one of our residents,
Right.
but so we're slightly kind of borrowing the idea, but a great way to highlight not only the military accomplishments of our residents in the homes, but to let them know that they're not left behind.
Right.
You know, yesterday in Temple, one of our residents, actually our residents from the Courtney home in Temple, came out to military appreciation lunch, and a few of the residents said, I'm going to turn 100 this spring. And I think it's a great way to honor the vets that we serve and
Absolutely.
Bring the community in. I'm glad you've already done the legal check on this, John.
Yeah.
There's a lot of acronyms there.
Yeah, we'll try.
You know?
Yeah, I was just going to add, I think it's a great idea as well. When I had the opportunity to go visit the Floresville home, they were celebrating a birthday, and the members, the staff, the veterans just really enjoy that, and everybody comes together and has a great time, especially these milestone birthdays, and 100th is a huge milestone, so.
It certainly is. But we'd be happy to put together a policy and have this implemented as soon as possible.
I think it's a great idea, and it also speaks well to the quality of care they're getting.
True, true.
Yeah.
Second that.
But if I could, on a more serious note, in terms of projections, how many celebrations would you anticipate, say, on an annual basis?
You're probably looking at less than 12. So it is quite a milestone to achieve that. And so we're looking about one per month, if that, so.
You also have any of the veterans community groups like the American Legion or other groups like that that participate or?
Oh, absolutely. And
Good.
McAllen has a huge following of a motorcycle club, which they come out and do barbecues and everything with the veterans. So they're very engaged with the community.
That's fabulous. Good.
Because comms, we have tried a strategy of airdrop to bring, we called it, I think, the mail drop, where we would ask for students in local schools in the communities in which we now have 10 homes.
Right.
To directly write a vet. But, the 100 for 100 idea, kind of the bumper sticker title behind that, just triggered this national viral story that, leverages the community relationship with the homes. And so this will be a new attempt, and we'll see if it works.
And I think engaging the schools would be great, because then it really gives the students something to talk about. So with that veteran, so it's not just a blank letter saying thank you for your service. It's in addition to celebrating their 100 years, 1 century.
I remember reading an article a while back that, I don't remember where the community was, but the local school kind of adopted some sort of elder home, and the kids could go for visits if, because they'd already agreed to do this.
Right.
And in one case, the resident actually came to the classroom too, and because they were able to get around. And it was a wonderful situation, kind of like a grandparent for all the
Absolutely.
kids, and the kids, they just loved having the kids there too. So that may be something also, that if they're local schools around the areas where we have our homes, maybe that's something that.
Now, we have great participation with the local schools as well, especially around the holidays.
Cool.
They love to come in for trick or treat.
Yeah, not
So
sure who's
perhaps
got
we
the-
can ask for a proposal, and would that require a motion, council, or?
I think what you're being asked to vote on is just to authorize staff to move forward with this recommendation, to initiate the program, and work with comms and work with the homes to develop this program, and then they can report back later, of course, after it's been implemented. But I think I don't think we need to have 2 votes. I think just a vote today would be, if you all are so inclined, would be to recommend and to vote to authorize staff to begin implementing this program.
I'll move.
Right,
And I'd
excellent.
be delighted to second.
All right, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Motion carries unanimously to be official there, council. There being no further business before the board, the meeting is hereby adjourned.
Thank you.